strange? Some people can live beside broken things for years. A drawer that never closes properly, a strange sound in the car, a friendship that's slowly dying, a relationship that clearly stopped working long ago. They notice it and move on. But you can't. Something inside you keeps returning to it. Your brain keeps replaying the problem in the background like an unfinished sentence. You start mentally tracing causes, looking for patterns, testing possibilities, not because someone asked you to, but because something broken feels almost impossible for you to emotionally ignore. And the truth is, people who love fixing things are rarely just helpful people. There's a deeper psychology behind it. Because sometimes, the need to fix things has very little to do with the thing itself. There are people in this world who naturally move away from problems. And then there are people who instinctively move toward them. The second group is different. They don't just notice dysfunction, they feel it. A small inconsistency becomes mentally loud. A system that isn't working properly creates tension inside their mind. And what makes this fascinating is that fixers usually don't experience this as stress. They experience it as engagement. Their brain becomes alert, focused, curious. Something inside them quietly says, there has to be a reason this isn't working. And once that question enters their mind, it becomes very difficult to let go. 1. You don't just see problems. You feel them. Most people see broken things as inconveniences. Fixers experience them differently. To them, a broken thing feels unfinished. A crooked painting, a leaking pipe, an awkward silence after someone says, "I'm fine." A person whose behavior suddenly changes. Other people move on. But your brain stays there. You replay details. You search for causes. You mentally organize pieces together without even realizing it. And what's important is this. Fixers are usually highly sensitive to patterns. Your brain constantly asks, what changed? What caused this? What's underneath this? You don't simply observe problems. You enter them mentally. That's why people who love fixing things often struggle to relax around unresolved tension. Because unfinished things don't stay external for them. They become internal. 2. The hidden pleasure of figuring things out. What surprises people most about fixers is that they often enjoy the process more than the result. The mystery itself becomes stimulating. While others feel overwhelmed by complexity, your brain becomes more awake. You've probably done this before. Opened something just to understand how it works. Watched a 40-minute tutorial for a problem you don't even have. Spent hours replaying conversations, trying to understand someone's behavior. Not because you had to, because your mind genuinely enjoys solving patterns. Psychologists sometimes call this need for cognition. Certain people naturally enjoy deep thinking. Not everyone does. For many people, uncertainty creates anxiety. For fixers, uncertainty creates curiosity. That's a massive difference. Because when your brain believes problems are understandable, you stop fearing complexity. You start leaning toward it. And over time, this creates something powerful. Confidence in your ability to figure things out. Not because you always know the answer, but because you trust yourself to eventually find it. 3. Why fixers get attached to broken things. This is where it becomes emotional. Because fixers don't just repair things, they form connections with them. The moment you spend time understanding something, you invest part of yourself into it. An old car, a damaged friendship, a failing relationship, a difficult person. Other people look at it and say, "Why are you still holding on to this?" But they don't understand what happens psychologically. You didn't just see the surface. You saw potential. You saw how things could work again. And once you've mentally explored that possibility, walking away becomes difficult, because repair creates emotional attachment, not just to the object, but to the hope inside it. That's why fixers often stay too long in situations that are hurting them, not because they enjoy suffering, but because they can still imagine restoration. And sometimes, 4. The dangerous side of being a fixer. This is the part people rarely talk about. The fixer mindset becomes dangerous when it enters relationships, because fixers unconsciously believe, if I understand the problem deeply enough, I can solve it. And that works beautifully with systems. Machines follow logic. Problems have causes. Causes have solutions. But human beings are different. Not everyone wants to heal. Not everyone wants accountability. Not everyone wants change. And some people will let you spend years trying to repair damage they never intended to take responsibility for. This is why fixers often attract emotionally unavailable people, because fixers tolerate emotional complexity longer than most people. They keep searching for explanations, keep adjusting, keep trying, keep hoping, until eventually they realize something painful. Understanding someone does not guarantee they will treat you better. And love cannot repair someone who refuses responsibility for themselves. That realization changes people deeply. 5. Why fixers often neglect themselves. What's ironic is that people who are brilliant at solving external problems often struggle with their own internal ones. Because fixing outside problems feels manageable. Your own emotions don't. A broken appliance has logic. Burnout doesn't always. Loneliness doesn't always. Emotional exhaustion doesn't always. So many fixers become experts at helping others while quietly ignoring themselves. They stay busy, productive, useful, because usefulness feels safer than vulnerability. And over time, they become everyone's emotional mechanic. Always repairing, always supporting, always solving. But privately, their own mental systems begin falling apart. Sleep, peace, focus, joy, all slowly deteriorating while they continue helping everyone else function. Sometimes fixing others becomes a distraction from facing yourself, because your own pain cannot always be solved as neatly as a machine can. 6. The beautiful truth about fixers. But despite all of this, there's something deeply beautiful about people who love fixing things. At the center of their psychology is hope. Not loud optimism, not fantasy. Something quieter, a belief that improvement is possible, that broken things are not automatically worthless, that systems can function better than they currently do, that damage is not always permanent. And honestly, that mindset has become rare. Many people stop believing things can improve. They adapt to dysfunction, normalize emotional emptiness, accept disconnection as permanent. Fixers resist that instinct naturally. Their brain keeps asking, what if this could work better? And maybe that's why they keep trying, because somewhere deep inside them, they still believe restoration is possible. But here's the important question. What happens when the thing needing repair is your own life? What emotional leak have you normalized? What exhaustion have you accepted as permanent? What part of yourself quietly stopped functioning while you were busy fixing everyone else? Because the same patience you give broken things might be the exact patience your own mind has been waiting for. The same curiosity, the same care, the same willingness to understand before judging. Maybe that's the next thing your fixer instinct needs to turn toward. Not another broken person, not another impossible relationship. You. If you recognized yourself somewhere in this video, then maybe your need to fix things was never random. Maybe it's one of the deepest expressions of who you are. A mind that still believes things can improve. A person who still searches for understanding. Someone who still sees possibility where others stopped looking. And in a world that quickly throws damaged things away, that says something meaningful about you. If this video resonated with you, subscribe for more deep psychology content. And tell me in the comments, what's something you kept trying to fix long after you should have let it go?